Scout Automobile, welcome back. Close your eyes for a moment and imagine a dark futuristic garage filled with cold air, soft smoke, and reflections moving slowly across polished black floors. In the center of the shadows, a machine waits silently like a sleeping beast, the 2026 Pontiac GTO Concept, a reborn American legend built with modern aggression, futuristic technology, and raw muscle car soul. This is a conceptual design created for entertainment and future imagination. The camera slowly begins at the back of the car, and instantly, the rear design dominates the entire scene. The back of the 2026 Pontiac GTO looks unbelievably wide and aggressive. A full-width LED taillight glows across the rear like a burning red blade cutting through darkness. The lighting signature feels futuristic, but still carries the emotional DNA of classic Pontiac muscle machines. The rear bumper sits low and sharp with massive carbon fiber diffuser elements integrated underneath. Quad exhaust tips rest deep inside the rear fascia, wide enough to look almost race-ready. Thin smoke slowly escapes from the exhaust while the deep V8 engine rumbles quietly beneath the body. Rain droplets slide slowly across the metallic paint under cinematic lighting. The active rear spoiler rises gently upward. The rear fenders appear incredibly muscular from this angle, stretching outward over giant performance tires that grip the pavement like a predator preparing to attack. The camera slowly circles around the rear section, capturing every reflection, every curve, every aggressive detail. The suspension lowers slightly into track mode, making the entire car look even more dangerous. Then, the camera slowly transitions toward the front of the car, and suddenly, the entire personality changes. The front fascia of the 2026 Pontiac GTO Concept looks bold, futuristic, and intimidating beyond words. Ultra-thin LED daytime running lights slice across the headlights like glowing eyes in darkness. Beneath them, deep projector beams sit hidden inside aggressive black housings. The front grille looks massive and powerful. Large air intakes feed cooling directly toward the high-performance engine hidden underneath the sculpted hood. In the center, an illuminated GTO emblem glows softly like the rebirth of a forgotten icon. The hood itself becomes one of the most dramatic parts of the entire car. Sharp body lines stretch backward while functional heat extractors release hot air from the engine compartment. Under low cinematic lighting, every reflection moves beautifully across the surface like liquid metal. The front splitter nearly touches the ground. Carbon fiber aerodynamic fins extend outward near the corners, giving the front end an exotic hypercar-inspired appearance while still preserving classic American muscle proportions. Thunder rolls softly in the distance. The headlights suddenly activate fully. A futuristic startup animation flows across the lighting system, making the GTO feel more alive than mechanical. Then, the camera slowly slides toward the front, left side of the car, and now the full proportions become visible. Long hood, wide stance, low roofline, aggressive shoulder lines. Everything about the front left profile screams power. The massive black forged wheel dominates the frame while giant carbon ceramic brakes hide behind the spokes. Bright red brake calipers create the perfect contrast against the dark metallic body paint. The side body lines flow beautifully from front to rear. Carbon fiber side skirts stretch along the lower section while aerodynamic air channels guide airflow around the wheels. Even while standing still, the GTO feels fast. The camera slowly moves lower near the front wheel, showing reflections of city lights sliding across the glossy paintwork. The tire sidewalls look thick and aggressive, ready for brutal acceleration. Then the driver's side door unlocks automatically. Hidden door handles emerge smoothly from the body. A glowing GTO projection appears on the wet pavement underneath. The side mirror unfolds automatically while ambient lighting softly illuminates the interior from within. Then, the camera slowly transitions toward the front right side of the car, and this angle gives the GTO an even more exotic personality. From the front right perspective, the sculpted hood lines become even more dramatic. The LED headlights glow intensely while reflections move beautifully across the front fender curves. The aerodynamic balance of the entire design becomes clearer here. Every vent, every crease, every panel appears engineered for both speed and visual aggression. The front splitter casts sharp shadows onto the pavement, while the wheel arches appear stretched tightly around the massive tires. A soft engine rev echoes through the empty night environment. The suspension slightly adjusts itself automatically. And suddenly the entire car looks alive. The camera slowly circles around the front right corner, capturing the sharp angle of the headlights, the illuminated grille, and the aggressive hood vents releasing heat into the cold night air. Then, the driver's side door slowly rises upward, and the camera finally enters the cabin. Inside, the atmosphere transforms completely. The camera slowly moves toward the interior dashboard area. The dashboard of the 2026 Pontiac GTO Concept looks futuristic, luxurious, and deeply driver-focused. A giant curved digital display stretches across the entire front cabin with glowing startup graphics flowing across the screens. The digital instrument cluster feels inspired by fighter jets and modern supercars. RPM animations pulse softly while performance gauges illuminate in red and white colors. Ambient lighting flows across the cabin in deep red tones mixed with cool blue highlights. Carbon fiber, Alcantara, premium leather, and brushed aluminum blend together perfectly throughout the interior. The steering wheel looks thick, sporty, and futuristic. Touch-sensitive controls glow softly around the wheel while large aluminum paddle shifters remain hidden behind it. In the center of the wheel, the illuminated GTO logo glows proudly. The center console floats elegantly between the seats with a futuristic touchscreen controlling drive modes, suspension settings, exhaust sound profiles, launch control, and ambient lighting themes. The seats themselves look deeply sculpted for performance driving while still maintaining premium luxury comfort. Red stitching flows across the leather surfaces, while illuminated trim pieces create a beautiful nighttime atmosphere. The camera slowly pans across the passenger side dashboard, revealing hidden air vents integrated seamlessly into the design. Everything feels clean, minimal, advanced. Then the engine start button pulses softly in red. The driver presses it. For a split second, silence. Then the twin-turbocharged V8 engine explodes awake with brutal thunder. The entire cabin vibrates slightly. The exhaust note echoes through the garage like controlled violence. Deep bass tones pulse through the body, while the digital dashboard reacts instantly with glowing performance animations. The active exhaust valves open. The sound becomes even louder, more aggressive, more emotional. Then, the camera slowly exits the cabin and transitions toward the back left side of the car, and now the GTO looks absolutely monstrous. The rear haunches appear incredibly wide from this angle, while the taillight signature wraps beautifully around the side profile. Reflections slide across the curved bodywork, while smoke drifts softly behind the rear wheel. The active spoiler remains partially raised. The rear diffuser fins become more visible from this perspective, creating a true motorsport-inspired appearance. The camera lowers near the rear wheel, and suddenly the engine revs aggressively. The rear tire spins slightly against the wet pavement, sending smoke and water outward dramatically. The suspension compresses with raw mechanical energy. The car feels powerful enough to shake the entire street. Then, the camera slowly moves toward the back right side of the car. This angle highlights the aerodynamic shape of the entire rear profile. The bodywork flows beautifully from roofline to spoiler, while every reflection under the city lights feels cinematic. The quad exhaust tips vibrate softly with deep engine pulses. Rain begins falling harder. Water slides across the rear glass. The taillights glow brighter through the misty atmosphere. The camera slowly circles around the back right corner while the engine idles deeply in darkness. The wide body stance becomes even more dramatic from this side, making the GTO feel planted, stable, and terrifyingly powerful. Then the headlights flash once more. The engine roars loudly. The exhaust crackles violently. This is a conceptual design created for entertainment and future imagination. And the 2026 Pontiac GTO Concept slowly disappears into the darkness, leaving behind only glowing taillights, drifting smoke, and the unforgettable sound of a reborn American legend.